Guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. This is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. I'm up a little late tonight. It's about 1 a.m. I haven't gotten around to making my videos for the night. My dog ended up eating something, and I don't know if it was a part of a chew toy or something that I missed him chewing on, but it got lodged in the bottom of his stomach and blocked his stomach off from his intestines. So tomorrow morning he's got to have surgery and have whatever it is removed. He's been at the vets now for the last 2 days, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. All his other blood work came back okay, so needless to say, when it's kind of like one of your best friends, you know, going in for surgery, and especially with stomach and stomach acid and all the other things that can happen, it can kind of lead to a long night. So I may put out a couple of videos here just because I can't sleep. Tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about tattoos. Oftentimes I've seen photos of women that have tattoos, and some of them are really beautiful body work. I'm a fan of tattoos. I don't know if any of you guys know this or not. Well, probably most of you don't, but you'll see occasionally when my shirt drifts a little bit, I've got a tattoo, and I've actually got one that goes up over my shoulder, around my chest, comes down my arm, and inside of my arm here. So it's a full half sleeve over the shoulder back. It's about 36 hours worth of work. And I also have 6 on my leg, which I'll show you right there. I got a bunch on my leg, and I got one I got a Maori tattoo when I went to New Zealand, and I got one for every continent basically. So I've got 6 tattoos on my legs, and that was during the year that I traveled. I went to an artist in each area and got something kind of specific that would give me a nice memory of my trips. And then I've got one on my back from Wangud in the Philippines, who I don't think she's tattooing anymore. I think I got her during the last year, but she's like older than 100. And but anyway, so she used to tattoo tribal warriors in the Philippines, a part of the Butbut tribe. So she would tattoo the headhunters when they came back from battles. That's how old she was. That she was actually around when they were still headhunters. Anyway, so every tattoo I have has a lot of meaning to it, and this one actually is kind of my entrance into becoming a bachelor. So it's a Hana mask, which maybe I'll do another explanation of that at some point. So I find tattoos, as long as they're meaningful, I mean, if you get one just for fun, I get that too, but for mine, I wanted mine to have meaning. So when I see some women that have very pretty, beautiful, and elegant tattoos, same for guys, I think that's interesting. I don't really look at it as an attraction or an unattractive thing, but we oftentimes hear that tattoos are kind of a warning sign for kind of a woman's mentality on how she sees the world, and that if she has several of them, that it may not be a good sign for being in a relationship with one. So one of you gentlemen, I've had this in the back of my head to do this episode for a little while, and one of you guys sent me this article here, and I thought it was kind of interesting. It's actually from a blog, but all the articles that it refers to are scientific papers. So it's not, this is, what he writes is an opinion piece. The blogger's name is Debro. And so some of the articles that he writes is an opinion piece, but it's based on the science. And I looked at all these links, like I said before, and each one of them refers to a scientific study. So his logic is sound, and I'm gonna talk through this, and then we're gonna discuss it. I've got a couple other articles that I think are kind of interesting about the differences between men with tattoos and women with tattoos, because apparently there is a difference, even though you wouldn't think it's just people that have tattoos, but the way that they're perceived by the opposite gender is really interesting. So Debro writes, tattoos, a disfiguring epidemic. It's undeniable that there is a tattoo problem in the world. While it affects almost every age group, millennials in particular have taken to the pseudo-art form and scarred themselves in many instances irreparably. It's as artistic as cartoons or notebook doodles. We've lost the meaning of the word art. See, and I have to disagree there, because all of mine are very important. They mean a lot to me. So I'm not going to call it scarring myself. I disagree with that. Is there any surprise that a tattoo removal is now a booming business? Like most have noticed the trend towards tattooing by a generation that is known as impulsive, lack in foresight, and narcissistic, while demonstrating it openly with a poor aesthetic sensibility for all to see. Where once tattoos were historically the marks of pagans and tribal warriors, and then appropriated by military servicemen and violent gangs, they now have become a fashion statement for short-sighted and impulsive, and in some cases, the mentally ill. You'll notice those are hyperlinks, and I did look at both studies, and they are both legit studies about why some people get tattoos, and it's not always a good sign, especially if it's somebody you're looking at dating. Multiple studies are starting to emerge that give us some insight into the tattoos in our midst. Just look at the face tattoo hashtag on Instagram and see the mental illness of many people on full display. See, again, I really can't agree with that. You can't look at someone's tattoos and say, well, they've got mental illness. I don't believe so much in that. But what I do know is that certain types of personalities do seem to get tattoos more than others. Usually the carefree and people that are looking into short-term or something that is a little bit more chaotic. I'm certainly a chaotic person. I won't even argue with that. But again, I think if there's a reason behind it, I see at least a little bit more of an acceptance to that versus, oh, I thought it was pretty and I've always liked butterflies or something like that. Again, many of you may not agree with me, but that's not really the point here. It's I think, how are they perceived, again, by other people? At the very core, tattoos seek to modify not only one's body, but the self-esteem of the recipient as well. It's a way for many people to envision a more perfect self, and in doing so, admitting their untattooed self is imperfect. Rather than working on the inner self and dealing with the esteem and body image issues, many people have taken to scarring themselves as a band-aid solution for the greater internal problems not dealt with. And an article in Psychology Today put it like this: today, tattoos have proliferated. While rationales can be as varied as the designs, all tattoo modified self-esteem as well as bodies. Like cosmetics, tattoos are prosthetics, since like an artificial limb, they make up for something felt to be missing or inadequate. We're always devising ways to enhance part of our bodies, from diets and wigs to as a Michael Jackson makeover. Once we're self-aware, there's really no such thing as a wholly natural body. We compete with others and ourselves to envision a more perfect us. It should not be surprised that many people, especially millennials, feel lost in the world and almost begging to be noticed. They feel unnoticed by the masses around them, and tattoos, it is thought, will get one needed attention to make them stand out as an individual. It's thought to be a method by which to improve one's status in the world, albeit a shallow one. Now, again, his opinion is very anti-tattoo, right? And I actually don't agree with that. But a lot of the studies that he linked to do show that a lot of people are getting tattoos for no specific reason. I won't bother. Well, I won't bother. But the Hanya mask is a very interesting story, and it has a lot to do about a man who was his time on this earth was ended by a woman who loved him, and through her love, she accidentally got rid of him permanently, shall we say? And for me, that was very meaningful. The rest of my tattoo also has meaning, and like I said, each tattoo that I got, like the Maori one, was done by an actual Maori in New Zealand, and there was the design in the ink had a reasoning. In other words, this is a shark, this is a stingray, these little notches, and it's hard to show on my leg. Maybe I'll cut in a photo of it. But these little notches represent food, and this curve represents waves, and this is for a travel through as you travel on your way around the world, which is what I was doing at the time. And this is for safety, and this is for strength, and this is for perseverance. And like, it had a full meaning to it. Same thing with the piece that I got from Iceland, which is a stav, or a map, a compass, to always find your way home. I think if somebody, again, and this is where I'm disagreeing with the article, I think if someone has a reasoning for it, I would at least be more accepting of it, or I think it's a better reason to get one. That being said, with the way others perceive it, however, it doesn't matter what you got. It doesn't matter why you got it. Where you got it matters, and the fact that you have one. They continue on here. Tattoos promise to make you attractive, as if you have a personal force akin to gravity. Notice me. The more attraction you command, the more attention you get, and the more life you have, as we see in the public's devotion to celebrities and leaders. As the name says, hero worship too has a religious character, and if you're the hero, you're Superman. The more people you have thinking about you, the more of you there seems to be. In the wisdom of slang, if you can be, if not godlike, at least be a big shot. Sadly, what was once seen as rebellious to societal norms has become the norm, as we've witnessed the inversion of virtue on a grand scale. It's no longer individualistic and darling to do exactly what everyone else is doing, yet this seems lost on the many who think they are doing exactly that. While the statistics about men tattooing themselves are interesting, and do somewhat mirror the statistics pertaining to women, the stats that emerge about tattooed females tell a much bleaker tale of our cultural drift towards the nihilistic and banal. The most highly tattooed demographic is women in their 20s. Several studies conclude close to 40% of women now, which indicates a massive rejection of classically feminine traits. Women of today have traded in their feminine power and of nature and beauty for the trite and meaningless girl power individualism. By adding outward ink markings, the true power of the feminine has been abandoned for the traditionally masculine procedure. This has been to the detriment of tattooed women and how they are viewed, and society that allows their men to be feminized and the women to be masculinized will not survive more than 2 generations. We are in the last stages of final decline. Studies have shown that men assess tattooed women negatively. And again, here we have a picture. And see, again, I can look at one individual piece and say, I think that is beautiful artwork. However, when I look at this young lady, especially with them on her face and her neck and everything else, I do not view her, no matter how pretty she is in the face or in the body or in the personality, I do not view that well. And you can call me a hypocrite for that because I'm covered in tattoos as well. And, I probably have in total 40, 45 hours worth of tattoos on my body. So yes, I'm probably a bit of a hypocrite when I look at something like that, and I don't personally think that's attractive. Although I do like tattoos in general, someone that's covered like that just does not do anything for me. One other thing that I think in her message is that with a neck tattoo and a face tattoo and hand tattoos, you're comfortable enough in your own skin to show everyone I am tattooed no matter what. With mine, again, you'll know now if I lift my arm up, usually when my arm's relaxed, you can't see that I have a tattoo on my arm. And when I'm in pants, you don't see that I have a tattoo. So unless I'm walking around in a tank top at the gym or I'm wearing a pair of shorts, no one knows that I'm tattooed. Why? Because in some of the career choices that I've made, being a network engineer, being professional on certain levels, yes, if I were in a suit and tie, you would not notice them on me. But it was important for me that if I wore a polo and a pair of nice slacks, that they would not be visible. Now, I have other friends that are equally as successful in the networking world. As a matter of fact, one of my friends is a team lead and does very well for himself, and he's got them on his hands, and he is like neck to toes, literally out of space for new tattoos. And he's got some really interesting artwork. But I still believe the perception of men having tattoos versus a woman is different. And yes, I'm not saying that's fair, but I think that it's still kind of a thing. So I wanted to we go through, and I'm going to put this link down below if you guys want to read more about this. I think it's a really interesting study, and I would recommend reading it and the links that are in this because all of them are to actual statistics. Like there are many surveys and things like that, because whether you think someone is more or less attractive due to a tattoo is going to be a subjective thing. So I think you could read through some of these and see what you think. I opened up a couple of links here and looked through stories, and so I'm going to read these to kind of cap things or end things up here. It says, this is Thoughtful Tattoos is the website. Surprising what men really think of women with tattoos. Did you know, according to a Harris poll, 14% of Americans have at least one tattoo? Gone are the days where tattoos were only sported by a select few. Today, they've become popular among men and women alike, and everyone is considering getting a tattoo done to express their individuality for the world to see. In fact, tattoos are a great way to express your passion for something, be it a genre of music or a sport. And let's see what the guys say here. If you ask a few guys how they would react if their girl walked in sporting a tattoo, most of them will probably reply they would love it. While some might just not care, there are very few who would probably be annoyed by the tattoo. A hypothetical situation as this is, it illustrates a simple fact. Guys love tattoos. Most guys do. But is it as simple as it sounds? Well, it's not, and here's why. While tattoos may look attractive on a girl, what matters is where she has them and what designs, say most of the guys. While small feminine designs such as butterflies, fairies, flowers, vines, etc. score high on the attractiveness meter, designs that are primarily associated with men, such as barbed wires, are not commonly liked, and so are full-sleeve tattoos. what research says. Here's the result of an experiment led by Nicole Guengen of France's Université de Bretagne Sud. The first of the experiment was conducted with 11 girls of, and if you're French, I'm sorry if I just totally butchered that. Conducted with 11 girls of college-going age who were rated as attractive by 31 guys. The women were asked to visit a beach in France several times, dressed in red bikinis. Half the times they had a temporary tattoo on their lower back, which would be big enough to be noticed by the guys passing by. It was observed that men were more likely to approach the women when they were sporting the tattoo than when they were not. The second part of the experiment involved 440 men whose average age was 22.3 years and were asked what they thought of the likelihood that said girl on the beach would go on a date with him and would likely get intimate with him on the first date. For the sake of the experiment, the men were always asked about the girls in the red bikini. Most men replied that they felt the girls with tattoos were more likely to say yes. The results of this experiment are quite disturbing, as they indicate that guys find women with lower back tattoos, and I'll just interject here in my own words, or any tattoo, to be more approachable and more likely to open about going on dates and getting intimate as compared to women who do not wear such a tattoo. The bottom line, women with tattoos are perceived as adventurous, intriguing, and the ones who love to experiment. But of course, we also know that means that the old expression is, if she smokes, she pokes, right? Well, the kind of the same thing with the tattoo is if she's adventurous enough to get tattoos, that usually means she's adventurous enough to do other things. Now, you might say, well, that's not fair. Why don't men be viewed the same way? Well, in some ways they are, and this is something that I found interesting. So let's flip over here. Do women find tattoos attractive? How women perceive men with tattoos. I'm not going to read through the introduction. I don't want to make this too long. I'm just going to hit the high points here. Okay. They took male models. Average age was 25. Lighting and background were the same. The men had a neutral face expression. The researchers digitally altered the photographs to create a tattooed version and the regular natural version. The tattoo is black abstract design on the upper right arm, kind of like something I have up here, I guess. The photographs were shown to a group of 2,369 women and 215 men. Each participant viewed each of the 9 models once, randomly, with or without a tattoo. The raters were asked to rate the photographs on the following criteria of characteristics: attractiveness, health, masculinity, dominance, aggression, good potential partner, good potential father. The results: women rated the tattooed men, as healthier, good sign; more aggressive, good sign; more dominant, good sign; more masculine, good sign; worst potential partners, for me, good sign; worst potential fathers, for me, good sign. Men rated the tattooed men as more attractive, more masculine, more dominant, more aggressive. There's no negative in there at all, unless you want to be someday a potential father or a long-term partner. But you're probably not sitting here watching that if that's your plan. So in conclusion is, the takeaway is, having a tattoo isn't about being attractive to women. It's also a signal to other males. Tattoos don't affect whether a woman thought a man was attractive. However, it caused a man to appear more attractive to his male competition. If you're thinking about getting a tattoo to send a signal, you might be telling women that you're healthier, more dominant, aggressive, and masculine, but not really the partner, father type. And in that news, I'm going to go out and cover my body in tattoos, I guess. On the other hand, tattoos sent to other men is you're attractive, dominant, masculine, and aggressive, telling them in a sense to back off and that you're in charge. Now, let me also say this, okay? If you're an unattractive, overweight male, okay, it won't send the same signal. And the only reason why I'm saying that is that it's still going to send that signal, but not as much so as if you're a carved 6'2" muscular guy. The Rock has tattoos. You're not going to get tattoos and look like The Rock. I know this myself, right? So I'm just putting that out there that, yes, these are good signals to send, but don't be leaping out there for some ink just because you think that it's going to all of a sudden change your life. This should be something that you do for you, making it meaningful and a milestone in your life, in my opinion. A milestone in your life, or something that's going to be meaningful. Because the last thing you want to do is get something and have a regret. I got one at 18 when I was in the military. This is actually, I got I zapped it with one of the laser treatments so I could get the cover up and it wouldn't be seen. If you look on this arm, it's kind of hard to see. But you can probably see in there I had a gargoyle. It was done really bad when I was 18. This is in the process of getting lightened enough where I can get a cover up, and it is now light enough for it, and I'll get something else over here. So you better know what you want, because getting the ink done was 6 hours. Getting it something very small that was black removed is very painful. It's very expensive, between $500 and $750 per session, and it can sometimes take 5 or 6 sessions just to get it light enough to cover, let alone remove it completely. So make sure this is something that you're serious about. I do want to put that out there, because this is not a cure-all for anything that you think you want to fix about yourself. Okay. They hypothesized that tattoos are a signal of higher levels of testosterone, since there is a physical cost to getting a tattoo, and testosterone somewhat suppresses the immune system. Individuals with healthier immune systems seem to get a tattoo. Again, that's not necessarily true, but that's the perception about it. Okay. Then we have here, we asked 20 women, what do you think about guys who have tattoos and piercings? Just to say very quickly, and again, I'll put all these links below, tattoos were positive on 18 out of 20 of the girls. The other 2 said they didn't really mind them. 1 said, no, I don't like them. The piercings were generally looked at as negative. It kind of got into this weird, like, women think that made men not good. I won't get down into that. Again, the links will be below. And here's a women's site. It's called You Queen, 10 Reasons Why We Find Men with Tattoos Attractive. Edgy. It's like dating 2 people. And I won't read through it, but people don't mess with them. You can trace the patterns. I guess when a guy's laying there, you can check out all his ink. The artistry is absolutely amazing. Again, if you get one that has good, pay good money for it. If it's not expensive, it's not a good tattoo. I'll tell you that much. Do research if you're going to do this. How about a matching tattoo? No. And let's see what else. Looks about it. Potential chameleon. In other words, you can, if I were to wear a tank top or a short sleeve shirt and shorts, I can look one way, and then I put on a suit and that hides everything, and I can look another way. So it's like dating 2 people at once. Again, this is their reasoning. I'm not saying it's actually valid or good. So we, in many of the kind of men's channels, you hear guys talking about that it means certain things about women. Well, if you look at some of the statistics that blog was pointing to, men found women to be the same way, which means masculine, aggressive, good for short-term dating, not for a long-term partner, not a good mother, not a good wife. Okay, that's really not a good signal for women that want long-term relationships. Now, as a guy, you can say, well, it's the same thing for the guy, but when you think of a woman, you don't want to think of her as masculine. You don't want to think of her as aggressive. You don't want to think of her in certain ways, because, again, that leads you to believe she's one type of person, and this is not the type of person that most men want to get in a long-term relationship with. And again, I'm talking normal, average, everyday stuff, and I'm not talking about all people. I'm just saying in general. So, guys, this is something to keep in mind, that we hear it, that there are many reasons why it's different for a man than a woman to have a tattoo. And it is. Both are viewed the same way, but those characteristics on a man are attractive, and on a woman, they're not attractive. And again, this is not something that men are saying. This is something that society on a whole, including other women, are saying about other women as well. Guys, I will leave it there. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this one. Do you guys have tattoos? If you do, how many? Why did you get them? Where are they on your body? Do you just think they're ridiculous and you'd rather keep your palate clean, as it were? Let me know what you think of that down in the comments below. And of course, always like, comment, share. And please check to subscribe. I've only got about 30% of my viewers subscribing. So if you enjoy my content and have watched a couple of videos, smash that subscribe button. Come on back and check out some of my other things. For those of you that have sent me donations and supported my work directly, I appreciate that as always. And if you'd like to do that, links are below. If you want to send me news articles you find are interesting, if you go to the About page, you will see my beingthebestbachelor@gmail.com. Feel free to use that link. Send me an email. I can't promise to do all of them because I get plenty, but having information sent my way about stories and articles you might find interesting in a video, I'd love to hear from you guys, because otherwise I'm just digging around trying to find something that I think is just interesting. So having something that you guys would like to hear about as well is always nice. Guys, we'll leave it there. This is Better Bachelor. I am Joker. And remember, life's just not always fair. Sometimes things for men are not good for women. And sometimes things for women are not good for men.